Well, hello. I wanted to welcome you to my first edition of the Fountain Pen Rodeo. I'm going to talk about 3 pocket pens today. I was hoping to come up with something clever and rodeo-ish about 3 pocket pens, and I thought pocket pen Roundup or Wrangling the fountain pens or something, but yeah, nothing clever about rodeo is coming to me. I'm sure as soon as I finish filming this, I'll finally come up with a clever title, but whatever. Anyway, let's talk about my 3 pocket pens. Now, pocket pens are designed to fit in your pocket. Now, I'm actually wearing shorts right now and don't seem to have pockets on them, so I guess we won't see me fitting these into a pocket. I guess I could run downstairs and grab a pair of Wranglers, but now, the 3 pens I'm looking at today, I have a JetPens Chibi, a TWSBI Mini, and a Kaweco Sport. All 3 of these you can switch nibs. Now the JetPens Chibi, I don't, other than possibly putting in a Noodler's Flex nib from the Creeper, not from the Conrad, because the Conrad doesn't fit. I don't know if I can really put in other nibs, but I don't know a lot of vintage pens, so maybe I can, who knows. I really like, let's see, but I do like the Chibi. The Chibi is a cartridge converter pen. Do not eyedropper it because there are holes on the end. I did not learn that the hard way, thank goodness. JetPens Chibi is also snap cap. Let's see, what else could I talk about here while I still got them? The Kaweco Sport actually does not come with a clip. I bought a vintage looking clip. I thought it was kind of cool. I think if you see my review, I still had the plain ordinary clip on it, but yeah, you have to actually buy the quick clip for the Kaweco Sport. And I guess in a pocket pen, really, do you need a clip? The Kaweco is designed not to roll away, even if you don't use a clip, because it's, how many sides? 8 sides, octagonal, but it won't roll away as long as you have the cap on it. I think the other 2 would roll away if you didn't have the cap on them because they're more rounded. But they both have clips, so yeah, whatever. The TWSBI is not a cartridge converter pen. It is a piston filler, so I like piston pens, so that's a big win for the TWSBI for me. The Kaweco, I've said a couple nasty things about its converter. I've heard also that there's a piston pen in the works, and I haven't inked it up yet or I wouldn't be doing this, but the Kaweco has this stupid rubber converter thing that I hate. I have learned some tricks to get a good fill on it, but ew! You can use a regular cartridge. I have tried the mini converter like I use in the Chibi, but it doesn't fit. Some people have said it does, but not for me. And I have heard that it can be used as an eyedropper. I'm too nervous to try that. I'm just thinking putting ink in my pocket and then it comes unscrewed as it's bouncing around and suddenly I'm bleeding ink all over around the bottom of my pocket on my pants leg, and no, I don't want that. So, yeah, I haven't ever eyedroppered it and probably never will, but if they do make the piston version, I will be buying it. Actually, just fun to note, Kaweco actually makes a smaller pocket pen called the Lilliput. I considered buying their fire blue one because, gosh, is that thing pretty, but I looked at the size and I just can't get past the size. Too small for me. And at $165 at the website I was looking at, a little too expensive for me as well. These are all steel nibs. I don't know if you can get a gold nib for any of them, but who cares? So I think we've done enough looking at the pens. I will now do some writing with the pens. So these are the 3 little pocket pens all together from, let's see, your left and my left are different. We have the JetPens Chibi, we have the TWSBI Mini, and we have the Kaweco Sport. And again, these are short pocket pens. The whole idea is that they fit in your pocket. But these guys have the added bonus that they can expand to a nice full size. The Kaweco Sport you've seen before. I did a review of this guy. I showed that it has this interesting, and I use the term sarcastically, not nicely, this interesting squeeze bulb converter. So the whole idea is you squeeze, you suction in ink, and it's horrible. You can see a full demonstration in its review, but my main problem is you can hardly get a full fill on this darn thing. I did figure out a couple of tricks. The main trick was to squeeze, fill, then turn it upside down, shake the ink to the bottom, and then quick turn it, then squeeze, quick invert it, stick it in the ink, and suck some more. So that got a better fill on it, but wow, not thrilled with that. So this pen will be demonstrating diamine ox blood today. I have a sample. Now this pen is the TWSBI Mini. This guy is a piston filler screw cap. One of the things I like is the cap actually screws onto the back. This is a piston filler pen. Now because obviously it's already filled with, drawing a blank here, diamine ox blood, no it isn't. What is it? Omas Gray. I decided to show you a different TWSBI which has the exact same filling mechanism. This is a TWSBI 580 aluminum. And whoops, get this actually centered here. This is a piston filling pen, which means the little piston goes down. And then when it goes back up, it creates a suction to pull in the ink. One of the neat things about the TWSBI Mini and this pen, and since I don't want to do this with a pen full of ink, I'll do it on this empty one, is you unscrew here, you are left with your nib and feed unit, sort of a collar piece, and then this part here actually will fit over some of the ink wells that TWSBI has. So that's kind of neat. It's a way to fill it without making a mess. You don't have to wipe the pen off when you're done filling, so that's pretty fun. And then the last pen I'll be doing today is a JetPens Chibi. This is definitely the cheapest of the bunch by, I don't know, a fourth, maybe a fifth. It's a cheap little guy. Anyway, this guy actually comes with a cartridge, but I discovered you can insert a Monteverde mini converter, which is a real short converter. As you can see, there's not a lot of room for ink in there. But anyway, just friction fits, and then whoop, 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 you can fill your pen. It's a piston just like the TWSBI piston, except it's, you know, a push, what do you want to call it? A push converter instead of using the screwing action. So, and this guy will be filled with Rohrer and Klinger Scabiosa. I got some ink samples, so I'm trying them out. So what I'm going to do is I'll just show you how each one writes, but before I do that, I think it would be fair to show you how they all compare to each other posted, because they're designed to be written with posted. I'll have to adjust the focus there, give me a second, but kind of nice. Like if I'm going outdoors somewhere, like if I decide to go over to Montana for the day to hike, or even to North Dakota to hike, because you can hike here too. It's a pen that'll fit in my pocket, but will expand to a full size. So that's pretty neat. Just for comparison purposes, since I had the TWSBI out, here is the TWSBI 580 capped, and I don't write with the 580 posted, so I'm not even going to bother. There it is, posted, or uncapped, the way I would write with it. And I would say that is pretty darn comparable. Whoops, my screensaver just came on in my computer. I don't like that. There we go. Focus is a bit off. There. So anyway, it's a nice size for writing. So what I'm going to do here is, right now I'm thinking I should have done all that filming horizontally so you could get a better close-up of the sizes. But that's one of those things you learn. This is my trial run. Next time I'll do better, I promise. Alright, so enough of that. I'm sure you're eager to see these pens write. I don't have any clue how to do this, so I'm just going to start writing. I'll give you a little sample with each pen and draw some lines and things, so at least you can get a comparison. So I'm going to start with the TWSBI Mini. I'm looking in my camera just to see how I'm matching up. I have, so it's a TWSBI Mini. I'm using Omos Gray. And I suppose I should mention what kind of nib it has, so we'll just do a little insert here. It's a 1.1 millimeter stub. So I don't have a good scientific comparison of these pens ready at all. They all have different inks, but that's okay. So let's see, what should we do for a phrase? 6 skiing squirrels. Ha, I get to work my squirrels into this one. 6 skiing squirrels sold Sam 7 shirts. I just made that up. But all right. Let's see, as far as writing, it's fairly smooth. Do not expect any flex whatsoever in this pen. But nice pen. I like it. This is a good one. Should I do a smiley face? Sure, let's do a smiley face. Alright, next pen I'm going to use is my Kaweco Sport. I'm sure all the Germans in the audience are going, what? That's Kaweco! Or something like that. That sounded more Italian, didn't it? Kaweco Sport. Boy, I'm forgetting letters and everything. Wow, that's dark. Maybe I'll have to turn it off again just to adjust the exposure. Fine point. And the ink is diamine, or however you pronounce that. Diamine, that sounds right to me. Diamine Blood Red. That still look out of focus? Let me try doing this by hand instead of letting the machine do it. Huh. Alright. So anyway, we're using the Kaweco Sport with Diamine Blood Red ink. 6 skiing squirrels sold, oops, I'm not going in line, Sam again, not a flex nib. Now this one just gets a normal face. He's definitely not a smiley face pen. I'll tell you why. There's 2 real reasons. The main reason is that awful converter. I just hate that converter. If I could get this pen is either a piston or a decent converter, even the mini converter would be better. I would love this pen. It would get a smiley face. I just hate that converter. The other reason I don't like it, it's just a little bit, whoops, now I just dropped it. Let's see if it ever writes, oh, didn't bend the nib, I just splashed ink everywhere. The other reason I don't like it though is it's a little bit too narrow. The grip is just a little too narrow. It doesn't feel big enough for me. Okay, last pen. We have a JetPens Chibi. I'm going to guess this is a fine or a medium nib, but I don't know because it doesn't say, so I'll put a question mark. And the ink in this one is Rohrer and Klinger, so I'll just put R plus K. Scabiosa. Scabiosa! I had a little Harry Potter coming out there. Alright, so 6 skiing squirrels sold Sam 7 shirts. And again, hardly any flex to this pen either, but you know what? It's not a flex pen. Not giving him a frowny face. It's an okay pen. It's a fun pen to experiment with. It ranks a little higher than the Kaweco Sport in terms of the converter. The reason that wasn't enough to save it is because it's still kind of a dry writer and not real nice to use. So it stays at, I don't know where that puts it. That's not a frowny face or smiley face, just a in-between face. Okay, let's do a little bit more writing. We'll just do a couple funny things. First, I'm just going to do shade a patch of ink with each pen. So first we'll do the TWSBI, TWSBI. So it's keeping up a decent flow. Happy with that. I don't know what that proved, but I just did it. The Kaweco Sport. There was a discussion recently on Fountain Pen Network about the handwriting of reviewers, and I'm looking at this and thinking, yipe, they're talking about me. Nice flow, it's not drying up at all. Ooh, that could be the ink though. And the last one, we'll do our JetPens Chibi. I have a, you can probably see it. This is actually, oops, I'm misspelling Chibi. This pen is actually at a price point some people might consider it a disposable pen, but since it's refillable with either cartridges or using the converter, I don't think it's a disposable pen, not in my world. All right. I will do one other thing. We'll just do line. So we'll do a line for each pen. Let's do a line for the TWSBI. Straight line, vertical line, X. There. Cover all of our bases. And the swoopy doodles. Now we'll do the same with the Kaweco. Oops. Straight line, vertical line, X, swoopy doodles. And one more time with the JetPens Chibi. Oops. Actually, one thing I should note is the JetPens Chibi, the grip has a tendency to come unscrewed as you're using it, which it just did. And by the way, the Kaweco can be used as an eyedropper. Do not use the Chibi as an eyedropper because it has holes in the barrel and you'll have, well, you will have a mess the instant you put ink into it. Alright, no line variation really with any of them, except the TWSBI has a little bit because he's a stub nib. But none of them flex at all. Okay, I'd like to talk a little bit about the 3 pens. I made up a table using a software called LaTeX. It's used, well, it's actually used to lay out text and math and such. So what I have here, I have the 3 pens and a variety of properties compared. Now I don't know if I'll do the same table every time, but this seemed like a good idea this time. So as far as cap type, we have a screw cap on the TWSBI Mini, a screw cap on the Kaweco Sport, and a snap cap on the JetPens Chibi. Nib sizes, I wasn't real sure. Oh, by the way, I guess you can read the table just as well as I can read it to you, so I'll stop right there. But I'll just comment as I scroll along. So I prefer a screw cap. That's just a personal preference of mine, and that's all there is to it. As far as nibs, I didn't know anything about the JetPens Chibi. I was just making a wild guess, but the nib on the TWSBI Mini was a 1.1 millimeter stub, which made it kind of fun, and definitely different from the other two. I didn't have another nib to put on it, so that's a property that just isn't going to be the same. As far as ink, that means absolutely nothing. I just thought I would record what inks I used there. And by the way, I guess that scabiosa, or I'm sorry, that oxblood, I called it blood red a few times in the video, and I apologize for that. I didn't want to reshoot the scenes, so I didn't. Alright, filling mechanism. Now, I like the piston the best, although I like a good converter as well. So that said, the Kaweco Sport, that is not a good converter. That's a horrible converter. I don't know what made them think it was a good idea. I wish they would have designed the pen to take a much better converter. Now, in fairness, it can be used as an eyedropper, and the pen can be a cartridge pen. I just don't like using cartridges. I've also heard that the Kaweco Sport may come out in the next few years as a piston filler, which would be awesome. As far as length, when they were capped, the Kaweco was the smallest and most pocket-like of them all, but if I was taking one out somewhere where I was nervous about what could happen to it, I'd take my Chibi, because I don't care what happens to it. It's a cheap little thing. Posted, the TWSBI was still the biggest. The Kaweco and the Chibi were pretty close to the same size. I like it longer when it's posted. When you take the cap off, which I don't know why you would, they were pretty close. The TWSBI was the longest by close to a centimeter. The Chibi and the Kaweco were pretty close. And then the grip, the TWSBI, was comfortable. The other two were a little bit narrow. So overall, I'd say the TWSBI is the most comfortable of these pens. All three are good pens. They all have their place. And yeah. So I promise I'll be doing another Rodeo in another week or two. I have a couple reviews I want to get off my computer so I can empty out my hard drive a little bit. But that said, I hope this was useful, and we'll see you later. And by the way, if you have any suggestions about format and such, I do plan to tighten up the time a lot. And other than that, I'd love to hear suggestions about comparing pens. So we'll see you later. Bye-bye.